So, I've heard you want to run a faster 5k. Well, that's very doable. Just run a bit more. What if you don't want to do that though? How can you run a faster 5k without actually running more? Because it is very possible, there are loads of other things you can do. And in this video, I've got 3 different sections that will take you through everything that you can do to run a faster 5k or generally get a bit fitter without actually having to run more miles or for longer. So let's dive right into the first section. Most people, unlike all of the running influencers you see online and professional athletes, do not spend all of their time running or doing things surrounding running to make themselves faster and fitter. A lot of people are working 9-to-5 jobs, have kids, have a life around running. How can you use the time that you already allocate to running more efficiently and better to see results quicker? With a 5k, it's kind of a bit easier than something like a marathon where you just have to put in the time because you need that aerobic base. With a 5k, there are a few things that we can do to change up our training that will make us fitter and faster a little bit quicker. So I think for the first time in JHR YouTube history, I'm going to get a prop. It's a whiteboard. Okay, let's map out a week. I'm gonna adjust this as well actually. Let's map out a typical week of training. I've written out a basic kind of schedule for a week of running that totals up to 4 hours and 45 minutes of actual running. So, does this come off? At the end of this section, we're still going to have that same amount of time of running, but hopefully we'll have formatted it in a little bit of a better way. And I know that might be quite a lot of running for some people. This is just what I'm working on. It can be scaled down or scaled up. This is just kind of the example I've used. So let's break this down. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and arguably Sunday are easy days. That is 5 out of your 6 runs a week are ran easy. Long run, obviously, because it's a bit longer, isn't as easy, but at least 4 days of easy running, a session on the Tuesday and a rest day on the Friday. I've also done this by time, so we don't have any miles and kilometre arguments in the comments. So you may have heard of the 80-20 rule. That suggests that you do 80% of your running at an easy pace and 20% at a harder pace. And already, I know it's not exact, but we have pretty much an 80-20 breakdown. The majority of it is easy running with the only kind of intensity coming on a Tuesday here, and arguably the long run as a bit of a more intense session. I'm not saying the 80-20 rule's bad, because I think it's good, especially for beginner runners, but you don't have to stick by it like an absolutely solid rule. If you don't have quite as much time, we can add a little bit more intensity in, make our runs a bit more focused, and by doing that we can do a bit less kind of junk mileage and a bit more specific focus to get us fitter for a 5k. So let's think about adding in another session for a start. A classic way to do it is a Tuesday, Thursday session. So you would take out this 30 minutes easy here. Let's make this another session. So maybe this is your speed session. So like your 5k specific, 12 by 400, 5 by a k, 6 by 800, something like that. This could be a threshold session, like 5 by 5 minutes, 3 by 8 minutes, 2 by 10, whatever you want. One more focused on aerobic fitness and one more focused on speed. And I could do an entire video on this, so I'm going to stop talking now. Just do another session. If your body's coping with it, if it's handling it all right, if you've got to grips with the kind of more easy week, try and add another session and see what your body says. You don't have to do it every week. It doesn't have to become a thing you always do, but add it in and see how you feel. What is another option you can do if you don't want to do a full other session? Well, let's take this out again. I feel like a bit of a teacher here. This isn't necessarily a good look. Okay, let's make this a 45-minute run, but let's make it a progression. Oh yeah. This is a classic staple of Andy Hobdell coaching. He was responsible for getting Andy Badley to the Olympics, among other people, and now he is head coach at Team Macau, which has the likes of Ellis Cross, Callum Elson, Rory Leonard, Scott Beattie, basically all of the kind of good English runners, distance runners at the moment. He loves a progression, so you might do it in blocks, you might do it mile by mile. Let's say 15 minutes easy, 15 minutes kind of steady, so a little bit faster than easy, but still relatively comfortable, and then 15 minutes tempo at the end, so a little bit faster, maybe you're not able to talk as much. A progression is really good at adding a bit of intensity in without that kind of added session mindset that might make you a bit nervous, or you just don't really want to do 2 sessions in a week. As you can see, we're still at the same amount of time. I'd actually better check that. You can even make your easy runs just slightly less easy. I've done a whole video about how you can run your easy runs too slowly, and although I think it's important to run at the right intensity on an easy run, I also think by upping it a little bit, even if it's just by like 10 seconds a mile, 10 seconds a kilometre, whatever, you can see a little bit of aerobic benefit without completely smashing your legs. If you're already strong, then a bit more intensity probably isn't going to hurt. Strength, let's touch on that. What's going to allow you to be able to do a bit more intensity? Well, maybe we take out this 30-minute easy run at the top, 30 minutes of gym. Bit of a different stimulus, it's not as much running, but it's still the same amount of time in a week. 30 minutes of gym is going to help you to get stronger, so you've got more power through your legs, and also reduce injury risk because your legs are stronger, you can hold yourself up more, it might help your form as well. There are all sorts of benefits to why you should do gym, and that may allow you to do more intensity, do another session, whatever. You can replace a run with a gym, or what I quite like to do, I know this is technically adding a new thing, which is the next section, not now, but you could run to the gym and run back. For me, it's about a mile and a half there, a mile and a half back, so I've got in 5k. I know that was mixing units there, I'm going to get some angry comments, but by running there, running back, still getting a little bit of mileage in, and actually I've spent less time because it takes longer to walk to the gym. 2 more things you can do. Park run, I think, is a prime time to make that your second session of the week. Just do park run a bit faster, a kind of tempo park run. I love running to park run, doing a threshold tempo park run, running back again. It's like a mini session, but it's kind of a bit more relaxed. There are loads of people there. Makes it pass quicker as well, because you know it's only 5k and there are loads of people around you usually. Park run is a great opportunity to get another session in. Finally, hills. Something that usually people avoid, especially on their easy runs, but maybe incorporating hills into your general mileage is going to help you a bit. We know that you get stronger from it, we know that you get a better form. What's not to love? And although you could just do a designated hills session, if you incorporate them into your easy runs, you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Again, your easy runs might get a little bit more intense, but that could be a good thing. Just take that slightly hillier route, doesn't have to be anything dramatic over mountains or anything, but just, maybe even just up that bridge that you never like running up. Go on some hills in your easy runs and you'll find you get a little bit fitter, a little bit faster. So that's a little bit about how you can switch around your week to make it a bit more focused and a bit better without actually running for longer. You might end up doing more miles because you're going a bit faster, but you're not actually going to be running for any longer time. As always, be a bit careful with increasing this. Only do 1 additional thing a week, so go to 2 sessions a week or add gym. Don't pile it all in at once because that's where injuries could occur. But essentially, especially if you've been running for a decent amount of time and you know your body and you're not very injury prone, making your weeks a little bit less easy can help. You do have to be a little bit careful though, it could burn you out a bit more mentally, because I really like the fact that I can go on an easy run and it be properly easy and relaxing. Making everything a bit more intense could mean your stress relief that you get from a run isn't quite so high. Right, I'm gonna put this whiteboard down now because I just feel like I've given a lesson to primary school kids. On to section 2. Okay, now what about if you do have a bit more time on your hands? You still don't want to actually run more, maybe you've got persistent injuries from upping your mileage, so you don't want to do that, or maybe you just don't like running enough to actually run more miles. What else can you do? Well, for a start, go to the gym. If you don't already get your strength and conditioning in, it's really important. It makes you a stronger runner, less susceptible to injuries, and it's a great different stimulus. Something I learned recently that I found really interesting is you think of running an aerobic exercise as helping your heart, making it stronger, but actually strength training also thickens the walls of your heart. Don't necessarily test me on that, but essentially you can get aerobic benefits from strength training as well, which I think is pretty cool. Then obviously there's cross training. This is another way to get in your aerobic work without actually running. I'd kind of recommend keeping your intense sessions to running because you need that running specific fitness for a 5k especially, but anything like an easy run, that that can be replaced, or even in addition you can do something like biking, you can go on the elliptical, you can swim. All of these things that get your heart rate up for a bit are going to be good for your aerobic fitness, even if they're not targeting running specifically. Each of those have their different benefits. You have cycling, which can help strengthen your legs as well, because you're putting in a lot of constant pressure, so it's good for like muscle atrophy essentially. Elliptical is probably the closest you're going to get to running, and just like the motion is very, very similar, and again, low impact. And swimming is a bit of a change of stimulus, which could be helpful. Strengthens the upper body a bit, good for core strength, which is also valuable when you're racing. All of these things are low intensity, so you're less likely to get injured from them. Biking, especially, you can go outdoors and do it. That's fantastic. You can still be outdoors, especially in the summer months, go for a nice long ride. They do take a bit longer to get the same kind of stimulus. Like, usually they say an hour of cross training is roughly a half to 2/3 as effective. So like, I usually think that an hour bike is approximately half an hour of running, but it depends how intense you do it and everything. But for that low level zone 2 kind of aerobic training, cross training can be really valuable. And the final section is optional extras. So these are the kind of things that really will be the top 1%, 5% of gains that you're going to get. And usually it's kind of a spend a bit of money, get a bit of a result kind of thing, rather than necessarily hard work. But if you're disciplined with them, do them every day, you could see a real benefit to your performance. The first is obviously nutrition. If you eat and drink better, your body is going to perform better. That is a well-known fact. If you get a healthy diet, consuming the right amount of food and the right kind of foods, it's all really important to the recovery and performing your best. This is harder than it sounds, really, especially as people that have jobs or anything like that, that you might just have time to grab a meal deal in your lunch break and not have a perfectly meal prepped portion of this healthy, nutritious food. You can pay a bit of money and get a bit of help with this, like ready-made kind of, or ready-to-cook meals like HelloFresh, Simmer Eats, all of those kind of companies that deliver the ingredients in the right portions if you're a bit stuck for time, and then you can make a healthier meal. And you can also have things like protein shakes, guaranteed way to get a good amount of protein in after your runs, kickstart that recovery. I find it really useful, especially with Crohn's, when sometimes I don't necessarily feel like eating directly after a run, so I can still get in some carbs, replenish the energy I've lost, and a bit of protein to kickstart the recovery. But solid food is always kind of preferable. Nutrition's a really good way, if you can, to upgrade your running and make you feel better as a person. All needs to be taken with a pinch of salt though, because like, I would say don't drink at all, because you're definitely going to be better at running if you don't drink, but also, are you going to be as happy of a person if you say no to that social event with your friends? Potentially not. So it's all about a fine balance. But if you eat really healthily, don't drink, all of those kind of things, have your protein shake, have electrolytes, whatever, you're probably going to notice some benefits. Is it actually worth the time, effort, and potential sacrifice to your social life? Well, I'm going to leave that up to you, but I definitely don't do all of those things religiously. Another thing can be sleep. If you're training hard, you need to recover just as hard. And if you're not getting enough sleep, then your body isn't getting the right amount of replenishment to restore your muscles and make you feel better. This won't just affect your running, it might affect your day-to-day. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to notice it. Some people operate better on little amounts of sleep. Some people can do 6 hours a night and be absolutely fine, and some people need 9 to 10 hours, and that's absolutely fine. But recognizing how much sleep you need and making sure you get it is very important. Again, life can get in the way. If you have kids, you're probably not going to sleep as well, but if you can try and get a good night's sleep, if you need to have an eye mask or earplugs, anything like that to help you sleep, you're going to recover better, and that's going to make you feel better on your run the next day. And finally, the biggest cheat code of them all, and that is of course shoes. It is no secret that getting yourself a good pair of shoes is probably going to make you faster. You have companies like Puma at the moment that are doing all of these research projects, and they're saying their shoe is 3% faster over a marathon distance. A carbon-plated shoe is going to make you faster. Whether you want or can spend the £250 you're probably going to have to get that carbon-plated shoe is up to you and based on your own experience. But if you're running fast enough, I'd say it doesn't work as well for all people. We know that slower runners may struggle to get as much of a benefit from a carbon shoe as faster runners do. They're designed to be worn by elites, not the general public, really. I mean, you are getting some lower-end carbon shoes that are much more public focused, but essentially these shoes are tested on elites, they're made for elites, they're not made for the general consumer. But if you have the money and you want to have a bit of fun, get yourself some carbon and you're probably going to run a little bit faster over that 5k distance. So there you go, you don't have to run more and you don't even have to actually do more stuff. You just have to switch up your focus a little bit and maybe think about some of the other things in your life that you can change or adapt to make you run that little bit faster. Some of these will have a bigger difference than others and some might not work for you. It's all very personal. Give something a try because it's all about trying little things, seeing what works. Something that's working for you at one time might not work for you at a different time, or if you're preparing for different length races, different stimuluses might help. If you're doing 3Ks, 5Ks, shorter distance stuff, that gym work is going to be really, really important. If you're doing marathons, half marathons, you might want to do more cross training that's just going to get your aerobic fitness up a little bit more and not have to put so many miles through your legs. But in general, as much as I think, for me, I know mileage works, you don't have to run more to run faster. So give some of these a go, let me know how you get on. If you can get a faster 5k PB without upping your mileage, I'll be very interested to know. If you found this video useful at all, maybe consider giving it a like and subscribing, because there will be more videos like this on the way and more documentation of when I try to break my 5k PB again, and who knows, maybe I'll do it without running more. That's it for now, thank you very much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.